and it doesn't always go well for young players and young prospects. And if I'm Deion, I'm absolutely concerned. And I'm not saying that you're holding out and you're only going to go to a team that has 10 wins. I'm saying you're going to go to a group where Deion knows the people running this thing and trusts that they're going to do what's best for Shedeur and for building a team. And I would be very concerned about that.
I just disagree. I just think the NFL is in a different place, and I think a transformational talent can change an organization. That's what I think, because I've seen it. I've seen it in the past. I've seen it time and time again in the past. I don't have to go back 20. I don't have to go back 20 years. I can go back to this year.
You don't think that Andy Reid has had much of an impact on Pat Mahomes?
Man, Deion Sanders is back in the news, man.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about Deion. So Deion was on Fox Sports with Michael Irvin. That's why I seen it. Don't know if he said it anywhere else. But basically, they was asking him, because now as the NFL is going on in this season, you're sort of seeing how it's shaping out. The bad teams, who's going to get the number one pick. There's no lottery. So
for draft purposes, you are seeing who the crummiest teams in the league are and who's going to be at the top of that draft. So the picture's becoming clear, with each week, as to who's going to likely have those top couple spots where Shedeur's expected to be picked.
Exactly. And he was, blatantly asked, would you basically remove Shedeur from any, bad teams? If a bad team is going to draft him, will you allow him to be drafted by that team? And he just came right out and said, no, he's going to shield Shedeur from bad teams, drafted him. And he's going to do the same thing for Travis.
Yeah.
Now, my whole thing on this is, it's your kid and his future. So, if you have the ability to drive him kind of where you want to go, you do it, especially if you have that ability.
Sure.
But everybody brings up the Eli Manning situation. That's the first thing they always bring up. Number one, that was 20, 30 years ago?
20 years ago.
It's a long-ass time ago. I think the NFL is in such a different place. I don't think there's a need to do that anymore.
What do you mean by that, though?
Okay, so I think if you are that guy, you're number one pick and you're the best player, you can turn around the franchise. The Cincinnati Bengals was as bad can get. There is no franchise that can get worse than what the Bengals were. Joe Burrow single-handedly turned that franchise around. There's no different ownership or coaching or GM that came in. They got lucky, got the number one pick and drafted Joe Burrow. That's what happened. And the Bengals were fucking there is no franchise worse than the fucking Bengals were. The people were coming to the games with trash bags on their head before the teams would actually play. You know what I mean? The game. And there's other situations too. You had the Commanders were a bad team before Daniels got there. They were they were in the dumps as bad as the Giants were. As bad as the Giants and Daniel Jones have been for the past 8-9 years, the Commanders have been the worst team in that division.
But with the Commanders, you got to realize that they also got rid of Daniel Snyder, and that's massive. They got a new leadership group in there.
Yeah, but 1 year, Pink. 1 year.
Jaden Daniels is obviously a very good talent.
Yeah.
But he's coming into a situation where there's a new ownership. Daniel Snyder was horrible for that team.
If Daniel Snyder got Daniels for whatever 1 year that he would have been in there, that team would have been way better than what they are. Like this ownership hasn't had 5-6 years to build a team. This is 1 year. In 1 year, you don't become a playoff team because you changed ownership.
No, there's more factors to that. Because you change ownership, you change the entire front office, you change the coaching staff.
They haven't had a time to build a team.
It's come together quickly. You had drafted a great talent.
That's it.
There is. You're undervaluing what it's like to be in an organization that's dysfunctional and one that's functioning properly.
1,000% I'm undervaluing.
Talent is a significant part of it, but you've got to be in a place where the talent's being maximized and not minimized.
I think talent is 99% of it because I've seen it. Like this, the Cincinnati Bengals, man. Joe Burrow turned this, and we can't poo-poo it. He turned them into a playoff team. I mean, they have injuries now and whatever. T. Higgins hasn't played, whatever. He probably played one game this year. They've had injuries and stuff like that, but they are a perennial playoff team because of Joe Burrow. Same thing now with Daniels, and there's other cases if I can think about it. You know what I mean?
There's other careers that have gone nowhere because they've been in bad organizations.
Are they as good as these two guys?
We don't know and we'll never know. Who? Jameis would be one.
Oh, come on, Payne.
No, there's plenty of guys. Jared Goff's career, when he was with Jeff Fisher, he was looking like an enormous bust. Then he got McVay, his career elevated. He's in a good situation in Detroit. It's going well again.
That's a coaching change, not an organization. Because if it's
the Washington had a coaching change too.
Yeah, but if that matters, right? If it's just the coach, then the Jacksonville Jaguars can just change a coach, and then Shedeur can just go there.
I'm not necessarily telling you it's just one thing. But I'm saying when you look at a team like Washington had a transformational occurrence in the last 12 months, from getting rid of Snyder to changing the staff to changing the front office to making the right pick in the first round of this draft. And there's other smaller moves that have kind of contributed to the evolution of this team. Things have gone well. And it doesn't always go well for young players and young prospects. And if I'm Deion, I'm absolutely concerned. And I'm not saying that you're holding out and you're only going to go to a team that has, 10 wins. I'm saying you're going to go to a group where, Deion knows the people running this thing and trusts that they're going to do what's best for Shedeur and for building a team. And I would be very concerned about that.
I just disagree. I just think the NFL is in a different place. And I think a transformational talent can change an organization. That's what I think, because I've seen it. I've seen it in the past. I've seen it time and time again in the past. I don't have to go back 20. I don't have to go back 20 years. I can go back to this year.
You don't think that Andy Reid has had much of an impact on Pat Mahomes?
See, yes, but I don't want to go to ifs and ands and maybes and if Andy wasn't there. I'm drawing from things that actually happened, like this, like the Cincinnati Bengals.
You don't want to do the ifs or buts, but you also can't ignore the things that have happened that help those things grow the way they have.
But we don't know how much Andy Reid has impacted Mahomes. We don't know the value. We don't know if it's 90% of Mahomes or 70% of Andy Reid.
You're never going to get answers.
I know it's Joe Burrow. I know it's Joe Burrow because we saw the Bengals be bad for 30 years for 1,000 of quarterbacks and coaches and GMs and owners and all of this. And then one guy came in and changed that. And then I know you're saying the Commanders did a transformational change, but we have never seen in the history of sports organization and a team only change ownership and coaching, and all of a sudden they become a powerhouse or a playoff team, so to speak, if they've been in the doldrums forever.
But I mean, my point is it's all connected.
If the Commanders draft a different quarterback that's not at that level, whatever, top 5 quarterback still in the draft, and it's not Daniels, they're not a playoff team. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. The quarterback in today's game is just so much more valuable than he was 20 years ago on the field. That's the main point.
I've always said that quarterback is the most difficult and therefore most important position in all of professional team sports. I don't dispute that. And Jaden Daniels is on his way to being a very good one. But other factors come in varying degrees, and everything's not in isolation. And if you're looking at this from the perspective that Deion is, you want to be in a situation where your son has the best chance to fulfill his promise.
For sure. And I'm not mad at that. That's why I started that off with he has every right. If you have the ability to alter or change, just like the Mannings. The Mannings, they had that ability. They had that influence, that power.
That's why the parallel is made, because that was the only other time, and it's not so recent that somebody had the leverage and power to do that. And now, honestly, John Elway went about it slightly differently in the 80s, where he leveraged baseball to get to Denver because he didn't want to play in Indianapolis.
But honestly, when you think about it, like Eli could have done the same thing with the Chargers. The Chargers were a bad team at the time because guess what? They were going through a string of terrible quarterbacks. They got above average quarterback in Phillip Rivers, and he instantly turned them into a perennial playoff contender. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're that guy, you can change an organization around. Now, if Phillip Rivers if he was Peyton Manning or even Eli Manning, I feel like he could have taken them to a Super Bowl or done more. Phillip Rivers did a lot for the Chargers. Like they were a perennial playoff team. Before he got there, they weren't. They were a bad organization. They were viewed as a terrible organization. That's what the Mannings said. Now you take a look at the bottom teams now. Right now, Jacksonville Jaguars, they have the worst record. Now, I don't know. I don't think they look away from Trevor right now. But who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But going back to the Chargers though, like that, they had Drew Brees there.
Yeah.
And Drew Brees basically got pushed out for Phillip Rivers.
Drew also got hurt too.
He got hurt. It was a factor.
Yeah.
It was a factor.
Drew also got hurt.
He got pushed out, and then Phillip Rivers again, by all measures, had a very good career. Didn't win a championship. Eli, had a very good career and won 2 against Tom Brady. So it's almost like there was no loser in that scenario.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like what exactly did you do? Like what did you save your son from? I mean, you really didn't. I mean, it's fine. It worked out for both teams, but it's not like you saved him from some boogeyman of an organization. Now the Giants are the other team. So if you're Deion, what you're gonna save him from the Giants? I mean, what's wrong with their organization?
They're not making good decisions right now. They haven't for a while.
They don't have a quarterback.
Well, they made the decision to pay that guy and stand by him. They made the decision to let Saquon leave. They've made bad decisions.
With bad decisions and all, you put an elite quarterback in there. Just one. You put an elite quarterback from this draft in there. Watch how fast this I want to save this clip because the Giants are the perfect example for what I'm talking about. All you do is replace Daniel Jones with a really good quarterback. The Giants are in the playoffs next year. Next year.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's what I'm telling you. That's
skeptical.
what he could do the same. They would do the same exact thing the Commanders did. If you rewinded a year back. And I said, hey, if you just put a good quarterback with the Commanders, they're going to make the playoffs next year. People would think I'm fucking nuts.
Well,
but that's literally it.
The Giants are 2 years removed from a playoff appearance with Daniel Jones.
But look what you're saying, though. I said the playoffs. You said I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not comfortable saying that I know that.
Yeah,
That's
but
fine.
they have the infrastructure. They have a good offensive line.
But we're not just talking about making the playoffs. Like, that's not really the standard you're aspiring.
Yeah, that is.
No,
I'm talking about immediately.
Well, but see, that's the thing. Like, my point in saying the Giants were in the playoffs 2 years ago, and then now they're a laughing stock. Like, you want to be in a position where you're sustainably successful.
Yes.
And then that
perennial playoff team is the term I'm using.
that is a high-level quarterback play, which I agree with you on completely, and it's also good roster and financial management around that allows you to continue to play and be a perennial contending team.
Yeah.
Let
me see what Kobe is saying because he said something about this is behind here. But I know he said something about the Bengals getting lucky. That's what happened there. Oh, there it goes. And he says that's benefits of a dog shit conference. Talking about the Commanders. Because they're in a bad conference, and that's true. But that's another positive to look at, though. Maybe I should want my son to be drafted into the NFC East. It is a bad division, extended division.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You want to again. You're just
the Jacksonville thing is it would depend on what Jacksonville wants to do, though. I guess. Because I can buy that. If you tell me, I don't want my son to go to Jacksonville.
You don't want him to go to Jacksonville?
I can buy that more than the Giants or Carolina. Like, if you sell that to me, hey, I don't want my son going to Jacksonville or Carolina because of X, Y, and Z. I can kind of buy that.
Well, and again, I'm not focusing this on the Giants. And he didn't focus it on the Giants.
No, he didn't focus on any teams.
I mean, the reality is he's going to look at this and be like, what teams have these picks, and of that, who do I not want him to be a part of?
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Now the Jaguars are in a really weird place.
That's
I mean,
what I'm
they've
saying,
extended Trevor. Again, he was the top pick in the draft. He's shown flashes. He's really at this point been weirdly inconsistent, and it's just hard to put a finger on it. They have a promising young receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. They have a good receiving tight end. Their running backs are functional. They're just not a winning football team. But again, 2 years removed from the playoffs, and they looked like they were on a different trajectory when they lost to the Chiefs 2 years ago in the playoffs. They looked like, hey, maybe this is a team coming together.